Alright. 30th Anniversary Phase 3. First off, we have one of the best USBs in the game due to its uniqueness in being able to increase PHY damage by 30% as well as break the damage cap with attacks that normally would not be able to. It's a really important thing. It becomes less important when we have access to 5-star abilities with more hits, because that's the issue, and why this is so powerful now is because we have less hits available to us on a lot of 5-star abilities. So the only way to increase their damage above 20k is to break the damage cap. Once we get access to being able to have a maximum damage potential of 40k or more, that becomes less powerful, but that doesn't make this bad at any point. That out by 30%. That's very strong. That's like a very broad 30% increase in damage, and that's really good. And allows PHY to attacks that deal physical, missing HP, fixed or fractional damage to break the damage cap. That's just really good, and it's something that's not like available on anything else in the game. And it's nice that Cloud has access to Spellblade 5, which gives him a large pool of elements to exploit. But I think the most important, much more important than Spellblade access availability, is his access to Omega Drive, being a 4-hit attack with a very, very high multiplier, which feeds off of the physical damage plus 30%, and the fact that Cloud has an LM2 that allows him to dual cast combat abilities. Cloud cannot use Snow Spell Strike because he record dives to Spellblade 5. He can actually just not use them because, yeah. So he, by record diving up to Spellblade 5, he does not get the chance to go to 6-star Spellblade. But right, he does get Hailstorm as well, so for another element that he can exploit, and self-buff. Hailstorm is just an excellent ability. Congratulations, Gazalot, that's a hell of a draw. So that's a good status, and what was the other one? Any day now. Cross Slash. I believe this is just sets his crit rate at 100% for 25 seconds. Yeah, just crit chance plus 100%. So what this does is makes those kind of weird and awkward to use sometimes critical damage buffs like Ramza's Chant and Zack's CSB, and it makes them really easy to use because it really is just a direct upgrade to his damage potential because you have this status. So it's a good combo, and it's already good by itself, and then just becomes a good combo. Dealing a critical hit with any strike increases its damage by 50%. So that's a really good USB to be on top of the banner. Yep, that is what I said, Lifeguard. The fact that it combos well with crit chance, because both Zac and Ramza increase crit damage. It could be. I mean, the syllables are similar. I did say CSB, I thought, instead of BSB. Alright, so next up we have Zidane's Mazamune. Let's take a look at it, because this is brand new. Grand Lethal. If everyone remembers Final Fantasy IX, Grand Lethal was the highest level dying attack that Zidane could use. So it makes sense that this would be on his pretty awesome USB. Causes Imperil Wind 20% for 25 seconds and grants X Master Thief. So it just grants Storm Seal after using a Thief ability. Oh, remember that this is a wind damage USB. Yeah, I disagree with Cloud USB being the best SB in the game, but it's good. It's one of the best. Alright, X Master Thief gives you a chase that does Storm Seal, which is only a 1.2 multiplier, but you'll see that the effect that comes on it is actually not bad at all. And that's a 35% chance to Imperil Wind 10% for 15 seconds. So it's kind of weird, but nice, because there's so many good wind damage dealers in the game that Zidane actually just fulfills a role that they don't. So I don't believe we at the time that this will come out have one of those soul Imperil Wind damage those. What would I see as the best USB in the game? Yeah. That's a really tough one. I probably would go with Bart's. Just because there's just too much value that can be found in it. Right, and then you just spam Dash and Splash. Rose's is the best healer, but Rose's USB is sometimes so good that it's overkill, and it doesn't help you win faster. Yeah, you can... If you've got Rose's USB in the party, that means you have somebody that is not increasing like your damage output and any of that. It just does healing better than anything else in the game. So it does have a bit of a flaw in that way. It can only be so good and so effective for a team, where something like Bart's USB is just so effective in so many different ways, and you know, I may even go with Onion Knight as well, but I can't not even with that, because his USB is split between physical and magical. So this is cool, and I like the USB, but by itself it's only just okay. It needs something else, and it does get that something else elsewhere. Remember, we have X Master Thief as a 15-second duration status that allows him to chase like this, right? Here is where Zidane really comes into play, is the combination of his USB plus his excellent Legend Dive. Zidane is LM2, restore HP for 100%, so this is a trance mode of the user's maximum HP and grants Zidane trance when HP falls below 20%. And this is important to remember what this does, because what this does is kind of just remove all usefulness of his LMR. So remember, you do not need Zidane's LMR because Quick Cast 1 is actually kind of not that good. Because we're going to look at the status of Zidane Trance in a moment, and now you guys are going to see where the damage potential comes from. Attack, defense, magic, resistance, mind, accuracy, evasion, speed, plus 15%, and cast speed multiplied by 9,999,999 for thief abilities. D-Rock, thank you for the host. Yeah, so he insta-casts all thief abilities, which is really nice considering the fact... no, I'm not skipping all the lucky draws. I did the healer one today. So instant dash and slashes, and dash and slash gets buffed in the future to a 4-hit wind thief ability. So you are getting a instant chase. That imperil has a higher chance to imperil 10%. So he's an excellent member of any wind damage dealing squad because he's a thief and can self buff and do all that crap. He gets his trance mode and his X mode both give him attack buffs, I believe. Really nice, really nice. So I think getting his USB, it's not like you get his USB and then you're like, okay, well, do I want to dive Zidane now? 5-star dive? I think you kind of have to, because I don't think his USB is really that good by itself. But with his trance, yeah. You do have to get to low HP, but you find ways to do that. I would R5 a dash and slash. I would life siphon up to a first one, the USB, and then you can life siphon yourself. Remember, to try to trigger your trance, but you life siphon yourself, and then just dash and slash to infinity. Yes, I did. Thank you, STY. It was a really great pull. Yep, Terra's like that as well. She gets a super powerful trance. And that's why you see a lot of, or if you have seen videos, that you see Terra will use it like a meltdown on herself at the start of the fight, just to bring herself below 20% to get that ×2 cast speed multiplier. So we have a really good USB here. So basically, if you get his USB, give him a good idea to legend dive him. Yep. Well, he doesn't need anything else. Not that good, L-Man. Speed doesn't mean that much. It's mostly for meeting thresholds. Like, you know, Thief's Revenge, which he already hits at, like, level 80. So, doesn't matter. Nope. Trances last 25 seconds. So it would last for the entirety of a sub 30 run. Squall's USB is bad. We will go take a look at it. That's a good question, Samadaro. I'll go take a look at that first. Nope. Plus wind damage, even better. Plus Thief would only affect his dash and slashes, plus wind damage affects the USB entry as well as dash and slash. This is a good dive because of this. This is like the thing that you look at for legend dives. So this is unfortunate that he gets a minor wind resistance in addition to his minor slow resistance. You'd rather prefer it was minor wind and moderate, or minor slow and moderate slow, but I mean, it's just really important that he gets his elemental damage. Okay, so Squall's USB. Yes, it is Kazelov, and we will be staying active on stream until then, because I will be pulling on it at that time. It's a like a guaranteed 100% pull. Squall's USB. Brutal Blast. 9 single attacks, grants high quick cast 2 and X seed to the user. High quick cast 2 is good because he needs to get in all the spell blades he can for this to be any worth anything at all. Then the second lucky is BSB plus, but no OSBs. So it'd be all the BSBs in the game, all the USBs in the game, and all the CSBs in the game. Auto pull. And not even an ice. I know. So what Seed does is really just cast Shattering Finish after using 2 Spellblade abilities. This is always going to kind of rub me the wrong way. Because if you go through your rotations on this and end up using like 5 Spellblades and getting 2 chases, it removes the effectiveness of one of these chases, where other people would have gotten the 5, and instead you should be getting, you know, 2 and then another, but you don't. I hate this, and it's not powerful enough to make up for it. It only has a 2.6 multiplier area of effect. That's not big enough to make up for the fact that it happens every 2 Spellblades. It's just weak. It's a weak chase. It's a weak chase that's triggered, you know, slowly and can just get fizzled. I have to imagine that must be why Hot Drop. His BSB2 is so good that is his defining characteristic as a character. You just use that. He is Legend Dive worthy with just his BSB2. That's how good it is. So, this is a bad USB. Unfortunate, but we did have 2 good ones to start out the banner. And this one is, Clouds is on the tier of Terrors and Bartz's. So, I wouldn't say Zdane's is, but it's still very good. Very, very good. Yeah, Hot Drop, pretty much. And last up we have Sephiroth's OSB. I don't know. It is another chance to get Sephiroth's OSB, and Sephiroth is a pretty good character with his BSB2, and he becomes a better character later with his USB. So I guess for people that want to develop this character as one of the most powerful dark physicals in the game, to get his OSB is not a bad thing. Adia, you're joking, right? It's weird. That's the second time someone's asked to stream. It's a Corsair Vengeance 1500. No longer in production. They've been discontinued. So, I mean, it's an OSB. What can I say about it? It's dark and fire. He does have the ability with Super Soul Breaks and his Burst Soul Break too to get End Dark and End Fire. So that's kind of cool. That's not something you see all that often. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Sephiroth with his BSB2 and his OSB is actually like a really powerful character. So I mean, it's really not that bad. Yeah, I suppose we would prefer a CSB was here, but it's not a bad addition. It isn't at all. Next up, we have Squall's Axis Blade. We talked about this briefly. Hot shot in chat. Squall's BSB2 is like his USB. It's just disgusting. It makes him worth legend diving by itself, because you want to get those dual cast spell blades off, and in doing so, you supercharge it, and he has a, if you get it charged up with his first command, his second command does a 7-hit, like, disgusting attack. And you can do it multiple times because you don't lose the charges from the command 1 when you use command 2. And that's really what makes it as good as it is. So this is a huge win on the party, or on the banner. So Zell's BSB is this has been around for a very long time. I think November of last year. So we're almost on a year now, and it's still one of the best BSBs that we have available to us, just because... sorry about that. Just because it has usefulness in almost any physical party. It's not elemental. It's instant cast, with instant cast commands and Dark Bargain command, and provides 50% crit to the entire party, as well as being a plus Fire Fist. It just it just has value that doesn't really diminish. Triple? Well, you don't want to do that, Strider. He does more damage the more you charge it up. So you actually want to get all the charges available for it. You can, if you would like to, just do the 2, because it's still good damage. But the more you do, the better. Yeah, exactly, Aurora. It's not elemental, so he's going to do decent damage and buff up the party at the same time. It's awesome. And the instant cast entry... Yeah, but over time, it will do more damage, Strider. Yeah, Refia would like Burning Fist. So this is just, this is a great hit. And it's a great hit for anybody. Yeah, it's a plus Fire Fist. Yeah. It's good. So even if you have them, you don't really mind getting more of them, because I would love to have this at an 8-star. Refia would love to have this at an 8-star. Next up, we have Cloud's Ultimate Blade 2. While his USB allows him to Omega Drive the crap out of everything, which is nice, his Ultimate Blade allows him to increase his damage output versus one vulnerable bosses. This goes together very well with his USB, and by itself is actually pretty good as well. Because it's just a strong wind burst. Alright, next up we have Sephiroth's BSB2, Yoshiyuki Shinushi. We talked about this briefly for Sephiroth's OSB. This is one of the kind of a unique BSB, where not only does the entry have one of those interesting buff additions like Celeste did. Celeste has the attack and defense plus 35%. This is just a bonus to everything else it does, and the Yoshiyuki also does accomplish that. On cast, it gives him End Dark, and usually the burst would end there, but it doesn't. It also gives him Dual Blink 2. And the Dual Blink 2 is, he gets 2 charges of a status, and the charge will blink physical or magical attacks, and it'll remove 1 charge. So you can take 2 magical attacks, 2 physical attacks, or a magical and a physical. And that's just a free effect that shouldn't be there if this were balanced according to other BSBs. And then we get to the commands, and he has a good second command, which allows him to buff himself up. I believe it's a Dark Bargain. It's Dark Bargain or Hailstorm. Either way, he can Dark Bargain or Hailstorm with his regular abilities. But what's really interesting about his burst is his first command is one of the highest multiplier burst commands in the game that also does 5 hits of darkness damage, or dark damage, sorry. Thank you very much, Strider. You have a good night. So it's just a really, really powerful burst, and really would be nice to have with his OSB. And them being on this banner is great, and an added bonus is that the Yoshiyuki Shinuchi is a plus dark katana. Awesome for Sephiroth, and not only awesome for Sephiroth, but for someone else that is on a current banner, and the best darkness damage dealer in the game, Shadow. Shadow's best plus dark damage relic is the Yoshiyuki Shinuchi, so it's very, very nice for him. This is just a good pickup, in not quite in the same way as Zell's Burning Fist, but similar. Next up we have another healer BSB. Hamlin lost a lot of its luster, I think. I think the best part about Eiko is her USB. What is Eiko's Legend Dive? Yeah. Who would that be? Who would that be? What am I looking at? Oh, Eiko. Eventually, Eiko will get a Legend Dive that allows her to have a Trance Mode and her LMR, which dual cast, but we're not going to talk about the LMR because that requires a relic. 100% and Eiko Trance. What's Eiko Trance? Magic of Mind plus 30% and cast speed times 2. I guess the cast speed times 2 is alright. Because she doesn't have a zero cast time Karaja, so it does help both of her burst commands. I just don't think I'd dive her just for that. I mean, it's a trance mode too, so it would have to trigger. And it's not like she can, do that to herself. Yeah, I'm not a really big fan of this being on the banner. It's just a Final Fantasy IX Medica if you don't have one. Used to be so good way back in the day. Well, you can dive her, just not yet. Oh, you're making a reference to the Final Fantasy IX Strange-O mechanic? Next up we have Sid's Final Fantasy VII BSB, which isn't a bad BSB, it's just a wind physical damage BSB. Which means it has a lot of competition and definitely is middle of the pack as far as that's concerned. Attach wind on cast and the commands. Just get some 5 attacks of Exploiting Element and 2 to 3 attacks of Exploiting Element. It's okay. It could totally be more. So this is just kind of one of those alright relics to pick up, more for Sid mission. Which, we don't want to see here. Next up, we have Garnet's BSB-1. The BSB is absolutely awful by itself. But the relic is not bad. It's always going to be useful because it's a plus lightning damage dagger with plus, in magic primary stat. So that's really nice. It's a good augmentable dagger because this is something that you want to be putting on ninjas and stuff. Though using Swift Bolt on ninjas is definitely not the coolest thing that it was way back in the day. It's still good on Edge because remember, Edge is actually kind of an okay lightning damage dealer with his LMR and LM2. So there's that to consider, but it's not what it used to be. Honestly, I think this is a blemish on the banner, but that's probably because I have it, or probably be because I have it, and it's kind of coloring my perception of it. It is good to have. I think I would want to have one. So it's kind of like how I view Go-Go's BSB off the second banner. I want to have it, but it may or may not be useful to you. Next up we have the BSB2 of Zidane. Is okay. It's fine. You're not going to be using it with his USB. I mean, you can if you want, but I don't suggest it. Wait a second. Does it give him M-Wind? If it gives him M-Wind, then okay. I will allow it. The Green Dailies thing is his OSB. This is BSB2. It does give him attach wind. Okay, it's allowed. If you cast this, that is USB. And then instant cast, if he's tranced, instant cast his dash and slashes. You can do a lot of damage. So, never mind. This is a good pickup on the banner. It's a good thing we went there. Next up we have Renoa's Crystal Cross. It's kind of a middle of the pack Ice Mage BSB. Usable. Definitely not what makes Renoa good. That would be her CSB and her USB. But usable in a pinch if you need it for ice damage. It is one of the rare elements, so it is something to consider if you're actually, lacking really strongly there. And lastly, we have, just like Maria's BSB, I mentioned that the trinity of 6-hit mage BSBs was in this festival, and here's the second one. Adia's BSB is here. It's the ice version, and it is fantastic. This is a huge pickup on the banner. Adia being an ice mage, which is rare as it is, and the ability to use the 4-star witch ability to charge up her BSB quickly and use Memento Mori means that she's really in good company. As far as her ability to self-buff and just deal damage and quick charge her BSB and then use the 6 hits to high effectiveness, she is just excellent with this BSB, and I underestimated it when I got it. I knew it was good, and then I used it, and then boom, blew my mind. So how do we feel about this banner altogether? Crystal Cross, Dagger, Viper, and Hamlin, not that big on, but everything else is actually really good. Oh god, I forgot about this. And this is a tainted front end to the banner, Squall's USB, and that kind of damages the banner a bit, but I still think the banner is pretty good. Because it's good chase potential. And what I mean by that is we have Cloud's USB here, we have Cloud's BSB2, we have Zidane's USB here, we have Zidane's BSB2, we have Sephiroth's OSB here, we have Sephiroth's BSB2. This is a banner that if I envy the people that need 7, 8, and 9 synergy, because this would be a great banner to toss a fair amount of mithril at, because you don't mind getting a great spread of stuff on it, because you're going to develop some really good characters, and there's some really good individual stuff on the banner too, like Adia's BSB, Zell's BSB, and Squall's BSB too. This is a pretty powerful banner. Alright, how's everyone think about, or how's everyone feel about this? A little risky, but overall good. Agreed, Will. Right, Blyven. It doesn't have as bad of a low end as some of the other banners. Martinez, thank you very much for the follow. No shit, Ricky? That's cool. Okay. I know you guys are probably pretty pumped about the stuff that's being released in Japan right now, but I am going to do my damnedest to not talk about it, because this is not really supposed to be about that.
Are you drunk?
Thank you, Jimbo.
Not drunk enough.
No, Raccoon, it's just because there's a lot of physical wind in the game. And I evaluate things based upon what they can be compared against. And it's just not as good as a lot of the options that are available. It's not like Renoa's BSB, for instance, is fine, because ice is kind of rare. like Sid's BSB is better than Renoa's. But Renoa's would be more desirable to me because it's harder to fill that role. No, I have not seen it, and I will not see it, because that is not the point of the stream. I can do an entire stream about that later. Is a +1 sword or a dagger with no wind for Zidane dash and slash as a dagger multiplier? Well, how big's the multiplier? I think using a dagger is better. Oh. I guess so. I mean, I've done all of them with this so far, so I'm gonna stay consistent. Alright, so it moves from a... No, let's look at this further. One 7 3 4 to 3 8. Yeah, I think using a dagger is better off. You get more damage out of it. But it's only slightly, so you could go ahead and use either, because remember, you're using his USB cast as well, and the USB cast would be benefited from the plus 20% wind damage, while it would not be benefited from getting dagger damage. So I think you can make a case for both. That is such a small margin sketch that I would say it doesn't matter, or someone's gonna have to do some mathcraft on it, if anyone could be convinced that that was a good idea. Alright, so, I mean, we're done with that banner. Doesn't look like... We came to a pretty easy consensus on it, that it's overall a pretty strong banner with a nice high end. Just a couple misses, and, you know, I think it was Blyven that said, is there ever going to be a banner with 0 misses? No. No. Those don't exist. Not even the Onion Knight banner in the future has 0 misses. Doesn't have many. There's not many holes you can poke in that one, but it's got them.